Okay, log number 9, and for this one I'm going to get the player units to move on the minimap as they move around. I was going to do the camera movement, but I'm going to say that for next one. So let's get started. Okay, so let's do this. Let's see what I've done. I did some changes and then I recorded without sound, so I'm gonna go back and show what I did. I went into the minimap, I moved the camera out of what was called player, and I renamed the player into minimap unit instead, and I made it 1 pixel in size. So that's all that's changed. There. Okay, so let's go back and let's get to the actual code. And let's see, what was I talking about? Yeah, the map. Right now we're treating the map and the minimap as an entity, but we don't have to do that. We can use a reference. No, a reference. Sorry, we can use a resource instead. So we're gonna insert these as resources instead. Oh yeah, I get it. There we go. Ooh. Okay, so now these are resources instead of being the part of the entity where we keep our coordinates. And I might make the coordinates resource as well, depending on what I'm gonna do with this. So we'll see. Next thing to do is going to be to change our tile map. So for this we need to have something called a minimap unit as well. That will represent a player unit, and that's going to be a sprite on the minimap, and change that to minimap unit. There we go. We also need to add the sprite node in there, and let's see. So now we need to change the system that generates the tiles as well, because right now this is going to have the tile map and the minimap, but we only have the coordinates. And let's see, are we going to change the maps? Yes, we are. So we need to write resource to tile map and to minimap. And given that we can't have these there anymore, so we're going to take these out, and we're going to finally use our resources here. So we're going to replace that with minimap and tile map. Oh, this thing is unhappy about something. Well, that can't be there. There we go. And these are going to have to be resource references as well. And what are we missing here? Did I add something that doesn't need to be there, maybe? No, it has to look like that. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so now everything's working. Everything's fine here. Allegedly, it's still building, but there's no errors in here, so that should be fine. We have a warning here, though. So why is that? Well, we don't need that. That's a valid warning. And we don't use the minimap unit either, but we're gonna do that very soon. So we're gonna implement this one, and we're gonna add a function to set position, which takes a mutable reference to self, some coordinates, vector 2, and it's gonna be unsafe because we're gonna modify the node. Like so. Okay, so now we can actually go ahead and build the system that is going to update the unit position on the minimap. So let's do that now. So we're going to make a new system here, which is going to be move units on minimap. That's a bit of a mouthful. Maybe we just call it update minimap. No, minimap units. There we go. That's better. And we're going to return not a dynamic runnable as we've done in the past. This time we're going to return a dynamic mutable function that takes a mutable reference to world and a mutable reference to resources. There we go. And what we need for this to run, we need a query, which we don't know what the query is going to be yet. It definitely is going to involve the player unit. Okay, maybe not just the player unit. We could do the mobs and the NPCs and everything as well on the minimap. Actually, let's not worry about that. But we're gonna need a unit. We're gonna need to be able to read the unit because we need the position from the unit, and we are going to need to write to minimap unit. There we go. So that's all we need for now. And now we need to construct the actual function that we're returning. So let's make a new box. We use move here because we want to move this query into the function. And let's have our world, which is a mutable reference to world, and our resources, so we can get hold of the tile map. And I think that's it. This should be okay. It is not, because we don't have unit. Okay, so that should solve that. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get this thing into our game world, into one of our systems. We're gonna do this on process rather than using the physics system, because we're gonna move this. And we're gonna move the player based on, we don't need the fine-grained smooth motion because it's moving on the minimap. So we're just gonna update the position when the unit moves. So let's go and add that. Actually, it comes from here. Move units. It's not called move units. You know what? I have no idea what we call this. Update minimap units. And here's a process system. And here, instead of adding our thread local system like we would do, we are going to add a thread local function instead. And there we go. The reason we're doing this is if we want to do something like tag a unit or anything like that, then we cannot do that from the thread local function, even though the command buffer here is available. The system is never on flush, it is never updated, so whatever you put in the command is not going to happen. That's with the current version of Legion. But if I use a thread local function instead, then I have a mutable reference to world, not a subworld that you get in the thread local systems. So okay, so we got a world, we got our resources, we got our query, and so first we're going to do is we're going to get the tile map, and that would be resources.get tile map, and we're going to unwrap this thing for now. It's a bit naughty, but we'll do it. Minimap. Okay, so these are two maps, but I just realized that I don't have anything on the map. I don't have any player units on the map, so before we can even we need to create these map units. But let's finish this one before we do that. So we'll say for units in map unit query, it's immutably have the world. There we go. So now we can get the unit position is unit.global position. If we call it global position, we should really change our set position to be called set global position. So we're working in global space, not local to the sprite. Now we need a tile map. And then we need to convert world to map, and then we take the unit position. So this will convert our unit's world coordinates into tile coordinates. And then we can take those tile coordinates with our minimap dot map to world. And then we can do map unit set global position. There we go. So we take the minimap, the tile coordinates, translate the minimap's tile coordinates to be the new player's coordinates. So it's a little bit back and forth there, but it's fast enough. So let's have a look. What do we have? Unused variable map unit. Oh, that doesn't seem right. Okay, right. Instead we got a bunch of... Well, first of all, tile map doesn't have anything called yank word. Does not have anything called world to map, and there's no map to world on this. So let's go and add those. And that will return vector2, so it's going to be an unsafe one. Map to world chords. There we go. So that takes care of that one. Okay, apparently not. All right, we're gonna pass false. That's asking whether it should ignore half the half of the tile size. So we'll say false in that one. I think that's the default. And let's go down to our minimap and do a map to world. Vector2, return a vector2, unsafe, south.0.inner, unless map to world, we do this, and then we don't call unsafe there, and then we stick this function on this one here as well. So here we need to go with unsafe, south.inner, map to world chords. Probably need to pass false there as well. Okay, that's fine. That is not fine. Oh no, map unit. Oh dear me. Okay, I thought I was on the minimap. There we go. Okay, that is less stupid. So let's do that. Okay, so what are we missing here? We got an error here somewhere. Can't borrow map unit as mutable. Well, I thought that our map unit. Oh yeah, it needs to be marked as mutable. There we go. And then this one. Yeah, why would that have to be mutable? It doesn't have to be mutable at all. There we go, all warnings gone. For some reason I was thinking we're going to add the player, but we're going to add the unit, not the player. We're going to add the unit to the minimap as our next step, because right now we're moving a unit around that doesn't exist. We haven't done anything about that. So next up, we're going to go and add the unit representation to the minimap. So let's do that. Okay, so let's go to our game world, and I'm not doing anything with resources there. In our process system we do. Okay, you know what, we can delete that. We don't need any of that, since we're not actually doing anything with it. Okay, so let's see, what do we have? We have our tile map, and now we need to add our minimap unit. And tidy that up a little bit. So let's... Alright, of course we're not using it yet. So here we're creating a player, and a minimap. Now we're gonna make this minimap mutable, because we're gonna add a sprite to this one. So where we're creating the player, we're doing that there, and here we're manually calculating the coordinates for the map, but we can get around that because we have tilemap dot world to map. No, let's do map to world, and then we place the unit. We use I for the y-axis as F32, and then what are we gonna do for the x-axis? We've said 7 and then plus 16, which is half the size of a tile. So this is our player position now. No, it's our unit position, and we can get rid of this, and we're gonna call, and also we're calling it player count. We're gonna call this unit now. Let's be more verbose. It's the player unit. So player unit dot set position unit pos. There we go. And then this is now player unit. And there we have player unit. This is a player unit. We should go no, but this can be called player because it's actually owned by the player, so that's fine. We don't need that anymore, and we don't need these two anymore. But what we can see is we're adding plus 16, which means we're adding half the tile, half the cell size. So we're gonna add that here. So we do plus tile map dot get cell size divided by 2. That adds our plus 16. And that is now broken. Okay, we cannot divide that. Alright, that is... oh, okay, I thought that was legit to do. Let's look at that. Expected... Right, okay. That was rather silly. Okay, let's fix that. Okay, so there we go. And alright, okay, again we need to pass in false here. And that's fine. Okay, no, I didn't like that. Okay, this is a very long line. I don't think we should have such a long line. Let's do map chords here. And take all of that up there, and then pass in map chords and false. And then do we have tile map get cell size, and then we can delete that, and that's not a function. Okay, that's a little bit shorter. It fits on the screen. Right. Okay. So let's see where we're at then. So we've added the player unit. Okay, so now we need to add another one. We need the minimap unit. And that's not the player unit. So now we need to create the minimap unit. And we have a bunch of utility functions down here that does various things, creating units. So here we go. We got one called load scene. So we could just do a function create minimap unit that returns a sprite, and we'll just do that. And that is the player minimap unit.tscn. I think. Okay, now we got player unit here. We're gonna do the same thing here. So we're gonna go with the minimap unit. Create minimap unit. And then we're gonna do the same thing that we do for the owner for the minimap, and we'll pass in minimap unit there to node. So now that we've done that, when we add the play unit, you know what, this doesn't work. It should be up here, and that should be mutable as well. Let's put those here, and then so first we add nodes to scene, and then we update node position, because we don't want to modify the node position before we've added them to the scene. And that's a minimap unit set position, and now we are not quite gonna do the same. We have we have the map to world here. Map coordinates. So we need to do a minimap unit position. Map world to chords. Then we got a map coordinates. Okay, so I think that's correct. So let's give that a whirl. Let's see. Okay, we're missing something. Player unit. Alright, that's a minimap unit. Oops. minimap unit. There we go. So all we have is a warning left up here. We have not used the minimap unit position. That's because we're setting the wrong one. There. Now we have. Okay, so that's all our units updated. We've added that to the minimap. So now this should be fine. So now that we added this, we're gonna go back and revise our tile map. See what we're doing here now. So we're getting the, and then we're setting the global position. Okay, so I think the next thing to do is gonna be to go into Godot and see if this works. And it didn't work because I have a bug in the tile map. And it is right here, and you probably saw this as I was making it, but I did not see that. So it's calling map to world twice. I could not see the units anywhere, so let's fix this world to map rather. And okay, something else has gone wrong. Well, we're not gonna wait for that. We're gonna look at it here. Okay, right. There we go. Okay, so that should be okay. Yeah, looks fine. It's building. So now we should be able to go and have a look at this in Godot and see if we can see the player units. And it looks like it's up there. So if I select this guy, move him, there he goes. Maybe he's a little bit big on the map. It's fine. Anyway, okay, let's see what this looks like if we add all 4 player units. So let's go and do that. I'm gonna change this to unit player. No, you know what? Player count is fine. Let's do that. Okay, and let's see if this will now work. Alright, there we are. Here's our 4 units. They can move about as they wish. And they're updated on the map. There we go. Okay, so that looks pretty good. He's a bit askew, this guy. So anyway, this is pretty cool. So next thing I'm gonna do is add the... I should probably fix the outline of these sprites at some point, and the fact that the leg is the same color as the grass doesn't really help, but I'm not going to be too worried about that. Next thing to do is going to be to update the camera position with the, I don't know, arrow keys, WASD, one of these combinations, so we can move the camera around and create more tiles as we go along. So that's going to be the next one. Okay, thank you.